Hi everyone, it's the 4th of October here on TNT. A quick whip around Thailand, some of the main news stories, and still a lot of stories about flooding and bus fires. So we'll get to those details in a moment. Also an interesting perspective on the new DTV, the Destination Thailand Visa. I think this is going to become a very popular visa, but we've got a bit of an interesting perspective a bit later in the program. Also, just a very quick story from last night. It was the start of the Vegetarian Festival, not just here in Chiang, but also in Phuket, places like Bangkok around Chinatown. It's also quite big. I believe they're even doing Vegetarian Festival activities in Pattaya this year as well. If you're up that way, pass on anything you've seen over the past 24 hours. That's all coming up, but let's head to the floods. Nation Thailand. Thailand flood crisis, thousands still stranded in heavy flooding, and nearly 29,000 families are still suffering from heavy flooding. This is the latest update, and the department says since August the 16th, 37 provinces have been hit by floods. Well, there's only 77 provinces in Thailand, affecting some 193,000 people in 5,318 villages in 226 districts. And the disasters also killed 49 people and injured 28 others. And as of yesterday, it's still affecting some 28,832 families. Heading to Chiang Mai, this from the BangkokPost.com, Chiang Mai braces for more floods. More floods are expected in beleaguered Chiang Mai later today, with water floods along the Ping River expected to reach nearly 5 metres starting early this morning. Not sure why they've got those words in bold. They don't actually link to anything. Anyway, the governor says he's advised residents living along the river to move their vehicles and other valuables to higher ground. This should have happened yesterday. And hospitals and local clinics in low-lying areas have also been told to move bedridden patients. And the depth of the Ping River at the Narawat Bridge in the city district reached the critical level of 4.2 metres yesterday afternoon. That was a marked increase from 3.45 metres on Monday, and the river was expected to peak at nearly 5 metres at 2 a.m. this morning. And just to other areas, local authorities say the National Highway 118 and some areas in a district of Chiang Rai were also flooded in Mae Hong Son. Officials have been ordered to inspect conditions in the long-necked Karen community, also in Loei, right up in the far northeast of Thailand, where heavy downpours have caused flash flooding in several residential and farming areas. And the Meteorological Department say downpours in the northern, northeastern, central and eastern regions were expected to start easing today as a cold front from China moves over the upper part of Thailand, but the western part of the north should expect more heavy downpours until October the 12th. That's the latest information we have. Still plenty of flooding and rain up there in the north. If you're up that way, please send us some information in the comments section. We'd be glad to hear about it. Also, hope that you're safe. To the latest investigations on the bus fire. Quite a lot of interesting information has emerged the last 24 hours. We go to Cowsod English and the suspicious behaviour of the Shinbut tour company owning the bus involved in the fire accident that claimed the lives of 23 students and teachers in Pathum Thani has surfaced again. Now, yesterday, 5 other buses belonging to the same company failed to report for inspection at the Lopburi Provincial Transport Department. Instead, they went directly to Nakhon Ratchasima Province, but officials there at the Provincial Transport Office were notified to investigate and found that there was an attempt to remove the compressed natural gas tanks from the buses, presumably to evade inspection. The officials then informed the police, who have seized all 5 tour buses for further investigation. We keep seeing the brand Mercedes-Benz emblazoned across some of their buses. I mean, this bus company is obviously in a shitload of trouble already. I would imagine Mercedes-Benz would probably like to discuss something with their lawyers as well. Just digging a bit deeper, Cowsod English done an excellent story. Fatal bus fire probe exposes Thai officials and company fraud claims. And the Director General of the Department of Land Transportation attended a meeting at the Parliament with the House Transportation Committee to present an initial investigation report on the case. The department's taking action against all parties involved: the operators, the bus owner, the driver, the engineer responsible for inspecting the gas tank, and government officials. So these are some of the things instigated. All public buses, scheduled and charter buses that use compressed natural gas fuel, a total of 13,500 buses, must be inspected within 60 days. Well, somebody yesterday was saying, why 60 days? Why not immediately? Well, some 13,500 buses. They've got a few to get through. The standards for charter bus operations will be raised for the entire system. And coordinating with the Ministry of Education, schools or organisations that need to rent charter buses for group travel by students or the elderly have the buses inspected for safety by the Provincial Transportation Authority. And the new regulations require chartered buses to have staff on board. They'll have to be trained and complete a course on crisis management and passenger care. And operators will have to provide passengers with safety information and emergency procedures similar to airline protocols. Well, I've certainly got no problem if I'm on a bus being shown where the emergency exits are, where's that little hammer so that I can break the glass, or anything else that may help me in an emergency. Where's the fire extinguisher, for example? Now let's see some of the findings they've already found on this bus fire. Investigators have found the rear right door's internal opening and closing lever was still functioning normally, and the wheels, I think they mean the tyres, had not exploded, and that 5 out of 11 unauthorised gas tanks were installed in the front part of the bus where the fire originated. And the gas pipe of the 8th tank had come loose, causing a gas leak. They found the front axle had broken and scraped against the road. Meanwhile, of course, there are plenty of bus companies who do play by the rules and have got perfectly good buses plying the roads of Thailand. They're sort of stuck in a sticky situation. The Bangkok Post reports bus firms lament suspension of school trips. And tour bus operators have been badly affected by a Ministry of Education order to suspend field trips by public schools. One operator said that during COVID-19 outbreak, bus operators everywhere saw a sharp drop in the number of passengers using their services, but passenger numbers are still only about 50% of pre-COVID levels. And he said the ban on school field trips will just add to operators' woes. The owner of Air Transport Company in Khon Kaen said about 80% of his customers had cancelled contracts following Tuesday's horrific bus fire. He said bus service fees for each trip are different depending on many factors such as the distance and itineraries for travelling to various locations. Normally the rates are 5,000 to 15,000 baht a day, and about 50% of their customers schools, 40% state agencies, the remaining 10% general customers hiring tour buses for merit-making trips. Interesting. So already this incident having far and wide-ranging impact, and let's hope that some of these mitigations do stick, remembering that 99% of the bus operators operate perfectly good and safe buses, which is just as well because Thailand really does have a big reliance for people getting around for their work and also for tourism on the buses and the provincial bus network. And before we check out a little bit of perspective about the new destination Thailand Visa, we'd like to acknowledge 5 Star Marine. Where are they? There they are. At 5starmarinephuket.com. If it was a day like today, bright blue sunshine, 30 degrees, light winds, be a great day out on Phang Bay. And also I'd like to acknowledge Beach House Thailand, my beach house. So I've got 5 now, and you can see all the links and all the photos and booking details and prices down in the description. Here's an interesting story in PattayaMail.com. Visa companies offer trouble-free DTV applications. Now this is the DTV, Destination Thailand Visa. It allows you to stay in Thailand for up to 6 months or 180 days at a time. After the first 180 days, you can then, without leaving the country, get another 180 days, whereby you will have to leave the country, but then you can return either after a day or any period for another 180 days, plus 180 days, etc., for up to 5 years. Now, I think the cost is some 10,000 baht. It's a little bit more expensive depending on which embassy you're applying from overseas. You must apply from overseas. You can't apply for a DTV in Thailand, but you can check all the details on your embassy website. But here's a bit of an interesting phenomena that's already surfaced about the DTV. Visa agencies in tour-oriented cities throughout Thailand are offering to help DTV hopefuls cut the pain out of the bureaucracy when dealing with overseas embassies. DTV cannot be granted to foreigners present in Thailand, but must leave the country to lodge an application. And then it says that the DTV since July, some foreigners have demonstrated on social media that the Thai diplomatic posts don't have a uniform documentary requirements. And this is it. The qualification to get a DTV is you've got to be like a digital nomad with overseas employment that you have to prove, or you've got to have some soft power reason for staying in Thailand with a DTV. It might be something like doing an extended language course, or it could be doing Thai Muay Thai. But exactly what those qualifications need to be and the paperwork that you're going to need to prove it seems to vary, and we've seen wide variance already in people on social media. Hey, it was a snap, I got it like that. And other people saying, hey, I've tried 3 times, I've got all the paperwork for my Muay Thai course, but they just won't approve it. A bit further down in that paragraph, the areas of ambiguity include what exactly counts as a cash bond, the precise evidence of a digital nomad working for overseas clients, and the detailed proof about being a soft power applicant. So what are these visa agents going to do? I mean, these visa agents are going to have to ship you overseas. So it says they're offering a visa run to a neighbouring country and assistance in preparing the specific documentation tailored to that Thai embassy. Now, other services cover air and road transport to the destination, hotel accommodation, and a pickup facility at the Thai diplomatic post. It says they're charging from 75,000 baht to 150,000 baht, dependent on the level of assistance given. So it's starting to get a little bit expensive, particularly for what starts out as a 10,000 baht visa. But remember, it's going to allow you to stay in Thailand for 5 years, with a few breaks heading overseas to renew your next 180 days. And down the end of that paragraph, applicants who have trouble proving the cash and income bond requirement may be offered a third-party guarantee by the host company, which of course is something that regularly happens with people on things like the O and the OA visa, better known as the geezer visa, the retirement visa. And the next paragraph says that when the DTV was first announced in July, there was an expectation that the visa could be granted only in the country of nationality or of employment, but this appears to have been softened, consciously or otherwise, so that applicants, whether on their own or with an agency, can request DTV in a country where they're visiting briefly. And the article notes, this softening has enabled entrepreneurs to step into the breach. As always happens in Thailand, I mean, that's what visa agents do. They see where there's a wrinkle or some sort of stumbling block in the system and they find a way to work around it. There is always a workaround in Thailand. So this article definitely worth reading if you're thinking about a DTV. Perhaps using an agent may give you, if you maybe are not exactly sure about whether you qualify or whether you've got enough money to apply for it, maybe an agent might be able to help you. Still at 75 or 150,000 baht for a 5-year visa, it's still not that bad. So how long is all this taking? Well, halfway down this next paragraph, some embassies, for example in the EU and in parts of America, are apparently taking weeks. The average seems to be about 1 week, though some tour companies claim 3 days and nights. As ever, you'll get what you pay for. With that, thank you for watching today. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. Please support our sponsors. We look forward to seeing you 9 a.m. Thai time tomorrow. Don't know what the topic is yet, but then again, you set the agenda on Saturdays. We're happy to talk about anything on your mind. We'll see you tomorrow.